Hi, I'm Chef Steve. Welcome to the Care Kitchen, where we cook with kindness. This program is brought to you by Colcannon at your side. Colcannon at your side provides personal care for people throughout the United States and Canada. We're here with our program every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, featuring recipes from the Care Kitchen cookbook and generally having some fun cooking and thinking of cooking as a meaningful activity that we can share and engage with those in our care. Well, today is a special recipe because we have St. Patrick's Day coming up in a couple of weeks. So I thought that I would do a traditional Irish recipe using potatoes. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I showed you classic mashed potatoes. This is a takeoff. It's called Colcannon, the dish, and it's mashed potatoes mixed with a sautéed cabbage and onion mixture. We're going to get started on the recipe. What I've done is I've already cooked the potatoes, so now I'm going to make my mashed potatoes first. So the first step of this is making the mashed potatoes. So I've got my cooked potatoes in the pot, and I'm going to start mashing. And of course, this is the simple process. Of course, one of these potato mashers makes it a lot simpler. Okay, so to this, I'm going to add the traditional ingredients, but I've got some Irish butter, this Kerrygold butter, grass-fed butter. It's really good. And since we're making an Irish dish, I thought we need to have some Irish butter. So let's put some of this good Irish butter into our potatoes. You know, these dishes, a lot of what we consider sort of like our favorite American comfort food kinds of things really were derived from a lot of the early immigrants who were a lot of the Irish. So things like mashed potatoes and braised meat and things of that nature are really a big part of our diets today. So that's the influence. So it's always nice around St. Patrick's Day. I always enjoy making the traditional dishes. So let's get back to we got our butter in here. So we need to put in some salt and some pepper. Okay, and of course we can always adjust that later. Okay, so I've got my potatoes working. I'm just going to put a little bit of cream in there. Okay, we've got our cream. All right. So let's just get this mixed up. I think I can move from the potato masher now just to a spoon. So let's take care of that. And we'll get a spoon and mix it up. So we're mixing up these potatoes. Make a nice mashed potato. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just taste these to make sure that there's enough seasonings in there. And basically, it's a very simple dish seasoned with salt and pepper, basically, because you have all of your other ingredients to flavor it. Good, really good. Okay, that's our first step of our Colcannon recipe. Okay, so let's put these potatoes aside for a minute. And we're going to move our skillet up in here. And this is a very handy thing. It's a nice electric skillet, very easy to use. Okay, so in here, I'm going to saute shredded cabbage, and I'm going to put some green onions in there, some bacon, and some parsley. So I want to get some butter in the skillet first. So let's put a nice chunk of our Irish butter in there. And we'll get that started. Turn the skillet down just a little bit. It's great the way this thing cooks, very handy tool. Okay, to this, I'm going to add my chopped up green cabbage. Now, one of the beautiful things, too, about this dish and the use of cabbage, cabbage is a really great vegetable, loaded with fiber, can do many, many things with it, and it's really inexpensive. So this is really a way to stretch a dish if you're on a budget, using cabbage for many, many things. So It's a great ingredient that way and extremely healthy. Lots of health benefits in this. Okay, so while this is cooking up, and we'll just put a little bit of salt and pepper in this as it's cooking. And the next ingredient I'm going to add is, and it always, I love this time of year because you can get the spring onions. These are like a scallion. These are green young onions. And that's what this recipe calls for, to celebrate the coming of spring also. So we're going to take these green onions and just cut them up, and I'm going to add these to my cabbage, and we'll just let that get nice and cooked. While I'm doing this, let me give this a flip, a little stir. And this is a fun kind of thing, and making this an activity, this skillet really helps because you can be sitting across from someone doing the cooking, having the conversation just like I'm doing with you, and having some fun while we're doing it. And maybe you want to talk about the dish, talk about potatoes. It's very interesting, a great ingredient we all love. I can't imagine any cuisine really that doesn't have potatoes in some form. And the variety of potatoes is incredible. Potatoes originated in South America, and they were wild and the color purple. They were purple potatoes and bluish purple kind of potato. And you can find those. It's hard to find, but you can find them in stores sometimes. And they usually come in a medley mix, those potatoes. But that's actually was a wild potato in South America. And then over the years, of course, was taken all over the world. And, it was changed in so many ways and all kinds of varieties of potatoes. So it's incredible what we've been able to produce in terms of potatoes. It is quite amazing. And they're really nutritious. They're a good source of fiber. They are a carb, so you do have to monitor your use if you have to watch your sugar. But they're very nutritious and always make a great side dish with almost anything. This dish, for a vegetarian, really could be an entree in and of itself. And of course, it makes a great side. And it's really quite delicious. Okay, so we've got our cabbage and we've got our green onion working. I think I have another green onion here I'm going to put in there because these are so good. And I love onions anyway. And these really have a nice, fresh taste right out of the garden. And they're so, so nice. What a great ingredient and very, very healthy. Onions is one of those great powerhouses of nutrition in terms of all kinds of minerals and vitamins, anti-inflammatory properties, and that's really cabbage as well, anti-inflammatory properties. And inflammation as adults age is definitely a big issue, and anything we can do in the diet to reduce that inflammation is really going to help. Okay, so let me get the rest of this in here. And we've got our green onions and our cabbage working. I'm going to put one other ingredient in this. I'm going to put some bacon. I've got some chopped bacon. I'm going to put that in now. If someone's a vegetarian, you could eliminate the bacon. But it does give it a great flavor. So there's nothing quite like bacon goes so well with potatoes. Baked potato with sour cream, butter, and bacon. That's really delicious too. Well, this is smelling so wonderful. I wish you could smell it. It just smells great. Okay, we're going to let this cook a little bit, let it saute down, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of cream in there and let it reduce a little bit, and I'm going to add some parsley to this. So we're going to let this cook a little bit and get nice and soft and cooked, and then the final step will be to add our mashed potatoes and our cabbage mixtures together, mix it up, and that's what we've got in a Great dish, Colcannon. So let's let this cook for a minute. Okay, so we're letting this cook down, and this smells so great, especially once I put the bacon in there. The smell of the onion, cabbage, and the bacon cooking together with that butter, it just really smells great. I can't wait to try it. But it reminds me of St. Patrick's Days of the past, and I always enjoyed the holiday, partially because I was a musician and I would play every St. Patrick's Day, and I had a good friend when I lived in New York, and his name was Jimmy O'Connor, and he knew all of the Irish songs, even though I didn't grow up with them. But he taught them to me, and we went out and we played together every St. Patrick's Day, and we'd go to different places in Boston and New York City and Philadelphia and play in some of the clubs there, usually until the wee hours of the morning, and then go and get a nice Irish meal. And it was corned beef and cabbage served with Colcannon, and Jimmy O'Connor's family, they were Irish and they made all the dishes. And actually, that was my first entry into some of the lesser known dishes that are Irish and so delicious. So we're going to just let this soften a little bit more. And looking good and smelling good. We want it to get really kind of nice and sort of soft and real tender, so it kind of blends in with the potatoes. And one thing we're going to do here in a minute is we're going to add some cream to this. So this is a rich dish, and it's very good. But people have an idea that fat, the ingredient and the nutritional aspects of fat, it really gets a bad rap because of its name. But it's an essential part of our diet and provides the most energy of any other food. So having healthy fats, having a variety of fats, you don't have to just have one. You have various types of fats. The fats, saturated fats in butter, monounsaturated fats in avocados and olive oil, polyunsaturated fats and canola oil. So a blend of all those things is the healthiest way to go. Really, everything in moderation. You can have everything you want. It just has to be small amounts, especially as we age. Okay. Well, we're almost there to a point where we can add our cream into the mix. It's nice and softened, and it's looking good. So I'm going to put a little bit of this cream now in here, about 3 ounces. And that should be it for our use of the cream in this. And what I'm going to do is take my spoon now and just stir this up and let it cook down a little bit, because we sort of want this to not be too liquidy when we mix it with the potatoes. We want to have a nice mashed potato kind of a texture and consistency. Okay, we're getting there. A little bit more. We'll let that cook down. Just a little more. And I'm just curious to give it a taste, see what we've got here, and kind of test the texture. Delicious. It has a little bit of texture to it. Just a little bit. So we want to soften that just a little more, but it has a great, great flavor to it. Okay. We are almost there. I'm getting ready to mix it into our potatoes. We'll let it cook just a little bit more. Okay, we're letting this cook, and now I'm just going to put a little bit of fresh parsley in here at the end. That'll give it a nice, sort of really fresh kind of a flavor, and just brighten it up a little bit, brighten up the flavors a little bit with the fresh herb. Okay, we'll mix our parsley through. And we've got our bacon, we've got our butter, we've got our cabbage, we have our spring onions, and we have our parsley and some cream. And this is looking very, very good. So we're just about ready to mix now this with our potatoes. Just let it soften a little bit more. We want to have very little crunchy texture. You don't want to really have any. You want it to be all softened through this. And naturally, this dish also, someone who has trouble chewing, and this kind of a dish, anyone who's on a modified diet where they can't eat food because of swallow issues, Parkinson's, neurological issues like that, can create issues where it's difficult for someone to swallow. So these kind of soft foods are full of nutrition and easy to eat. So that's a great thing. All right. Just about ready to roll here. Now I'm going to turn off my skillet. And I've got my mashed potatoes right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cabbage now, and I'm going to just put it right into my potato pot. See how neatly I can get this accomplished. One of the good things is this skillet is large, so pretty easy to transfer from. And that's one of the other issues, when you're cooking. Equipment you're using, the ease of use, how you're setting up your kitchen to make it easy. And in this case, too, setting it up so maybe someone can watch you and you can make it a meaningful activity through the cooking and engage with that person. And something like this is an interesting dish. It's a holiday kind of thing with St. Patrick's Day, especially if someone is from Irish descent. They'd probably love this. So it's one of those things, too. You get to know that person you're caring for. You learn their favorite dishes. You learn their favorite hobbies, their favorite things to do. And then you're able to have great conversations based on all that great information that you've learned. Okay, so see, I've got my cabbage mixture in, my potatoes, and we're going to mix it all up. And then we'll see what we've got. It looks wonderful. Okay, let's put a little bit on a plate. We'll give it a taste. Okay. So this is our Colcannon, which is mashed potatoes and sauteed cabbage, green onions, bacon, and a little bit of cream in there and good old Irish butter. And I'm going to give it a taste. It's so delicious. The creaminess of it, the flavor of the cabbage, the bacon, the potato, the freshness of the parsley, the green onion. Really great. Got to take another bite. That's outstanding. Really good. Well, it's always a pleasure being with you. And I've really enjoyed this today, showing you a traditional Irish dish that uses a lot of the basic things and cooking styles that we've already reviewed in other episodes. So, remember, it's fun. Cooking with kindness is the main ingredient, and that's engaging. And with yourself as well, really identifying what you like and having some fun with it. Well, I appreciate you spending time with me. This program is brought to you by Comfort Caring at your side. I'm here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Thanks.